Welcome to the July 9th meeting of the USD 305 Board of Education. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We do have an agenda for this evening's meeting. Is there a motion regarding the agenda? Mr. Grant moves the agenda be approved. Ms. Schamberger seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. The first item on our agenda is reorganization of the board for the 24-25 school year. I will accept nominations now for the president of the board.
I would like to nominate Gabe Grant to be the president of the board.
Okay. If there are no more nominations, I'll close the nominations for board president. Is there any discussion? Okay. Mr. Grant has been nominated for president of the board. I would accept a motion regarding that. Ms. Zimmerman.
I move that we elect Gabe Grant as our president.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Moving on, election of board vice president. I'll take nominations now.
Mr. Grant,
Yes.
I would nominate Ms. Cosa for vice president.
Okay. There are no other nominations. I will close nominations for board vice president. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Dana was nominated for board vice president. At this time, I'll accept a motion to elect a nominee.
Mr. President, I move that we make Ms. Cosa vice president of the board.
Second.
Seconds. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. I have a little present for you, sir, on behalf of us. Thank you for your service for a year.
Never going to be president. Can I put that out there?
No, you can't.
Not ever.
We reject that
I'm just
idea.
putting that out there for everyone.
Moving on, item 5 on our agenda, recognitions and presentations. We have a visible learning update with Ginger Jones and Kristen Fox from Salina South High School.
Good evening, everyone. And we're happy to be here tonight. We're going to talk about our visible learning process at South High School. And we started out tonight, we were trying to model our learning intentions for
Ginger,
our
could you
presentation.
turn that mic over towards you a little bit? Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not used to standing behind. Okay, our learning intentions, we're trying to model those tonight for our presentation, is that we, hopefully after our presentation, you'll understand our current accomplishments related to visible learning and know the next steps in our goals for South High School and where we're going with visible learning. And so our success criteria tonight is that we're going to understand our shared learning characteristics that we have developed. We're going to see the timeline and our strategies for PLC and understand the role of teacher clarity in our process of implementation for visible learning. Sorry. You ready? So where we are right now, teachers have introduced learning characteristics to students, and as a visible learning team at South High, we decided those characteristics were perseverance, accountability, and willingness. Teachers are currently posting learning intentions, and departments are starting to implement success criteria. The effective learner characteristics that we talked about are listed here. And
We decided to go with characteristics instead of the word dispositions, just to make it a little bit more student-friendly, make it easier to understand. And we also like that it had an acronym of PAW, since we're the Cougars. So our learning intentions are to describe what we want the students to learn, and they're also tied directly to the standards and curriculum and created collaboratively within a PLC. We also want to make sure that we're coming back to those learning intentions throughout the lesson.
We are planning on measuring and monitoring how we are coming along with our success criteria and learning intentions when we do walkthroughs. Kristen is taking on a new role at South High this year. She'll be our MTSS person, and so she will be doing some observations and walkthroughs as well to see how we're coming along on our implementation process, in addition to the three of us administrators in the building. One thing that we plan on doing is also working on peer observations, so in our departments, so they can start looking and seeing what are good strategies and how other people are using learning intentions in their classrooms. So our effective success criteria, we had some professional development related to what is effective success criteria. So we just kind of outlined that for you so that you could see that this is our expectations when we develop success criteria in the classroom, that they always go back to our learning intentions, which also go back to the standards. And so when we talk about these success criteria, that students will have a clear understanding of what it means to be successful in the classroom using their learning dispositions. And right now are some of our goals. As you can see, we are looking in August that we will be continuing our professional development regarding visible learning. And we've been, throughout last school year, we provided time for them to work in teams and collaboration of their learning intentions and success criteria. They said that was the best PD they had for the year when they had time to learn and work together and develop those learning intentions. So that time that they had together was very beneficial. And we're going to continue to work on our PLC, professional learning communities, and we're going to tie those two things together, visible learning and how PLC enhances that. And we're going to work on our collaboration time, that we're going to be using that for the visible learning process, and that we're talking about good tier 1 effective strategies in the classroom, because that's the most that we can do to help our students is have good teaching strategies in the classroom.
So these are kind of more specific goals that we want to try and reach. We've already made really great progress in that teachers and staff know the learning characteristics and have started having those conversations with students. At the start of 4th quarter, those were released to students during ELO and built into already existing lessons that teachers had. And based on teacher-reported survey data, it seems that about 30% of teachers are using both learning intentions and success criteria on a regular basis. So then the longer range goals, as we move through this next school year, we'd like to see that 30% come up each quarter until hopefully we get most or all of our teachers on board there. And we also want our students to really understand what a good learner is or looks like. Last fall, we had a video recorded of students, and when asked what a good learner was, they really gave compliance behaviors like sitting in your seat, taking notes, making eye contact. But we want them to say those things like perseverance and accountability that we picked out.
So we discussed teacher clarity, that our teachers have a clear understanding. They are our biggest effective resource that we can have in our classroom. And so we want to make sure that they are on board and that have a clear understanding with our professional development, and that we will continue to use that throughout the school year. During our faculty meetings, we're going to transform those more into a PD time so that they can share strategies that are working in their classroom, and then teachers will have actual strategies to take back and they can use in their classroom. So that's what our faculty meetings are going to transition into, so that we continue to give professional development whenever we can and give support. Also, one of the things that we talked about with teacher clarity is this was the first time they felt like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and they had a clear understanding of why we were doing learning intentions and success criteria. Because before that, we had a lot of broad PD, and this was very specific to their content areas. And when they collaborated together, they said, okay, now I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and they hit the ground running. We have a great staff who have been very, very part of this process. We have a big team of 14 people who are on our visible learning team at our building, and they have been instrumental in the success of our implementation. Kristen was part of our visible learning team. She will continue to do that, and she's going to be leading some of the initiatives within our building when it talks about Tier 1 instruction.
This is an example of something that Algebra 1 teachers put together. That's the class that I was teaching last school year. So the gray side is kind of what just the teachers saw. We looked at the standards and picked out the pieces that were important for our content. So this particular math standard spans every grade level in high school. So at the Algebra 1 level, at this time, we were focusing on just quadratic and intercepts. So we pulled that out. And then the other side is what we gave the students. So this was a self-assessment tool that we gave them where they marked how they were doing on each success criteria. And then as the teacher, we use that to reteach. You know, if everyone in the class was at a 0 or a 1, we knew that we really didn't get there. But if there were a few students that were at that 3, we could provide an extension to them to keep them moving in their learning. And it just helped us better make lessons that fit our students' needs. It also goes along with that teacher clarity piece that Dr. Jones mentioned. This is another tool that some teachers used in their classroom just to show students how each success criteria led to the overall learning intention.
Okay, like I talked about in our PLC collaboration time, which is pretty much departmental and then subject level broken down. So they have time built into their schedule to have this collaboration. So we're going to talk about how we're going to measure the success criteria. They're going to continue to look at the assessment data and reflect on their practices, what works, what doesn't work, and we're going to encourage them to continue practices and discontinue some things that maybe were just interesting and neat to do, and focus on the ones that are most successful in the classroom based on the data. So hopefully that time will really get down to the practices that they're using and observing each other and seeing what works in their classrooms. Okay, do you have any questions for us? Yes.
I have a couple questions. One is, well, first of all, what's the W stand for?
Willingness.
Okay. How did you establish your PAW? Was that a group process, or did somebody just think of it?
No, it was a group process. We talked about it with our visible learning team and with our BLT, and then we had a collaborative vote based on the department response.
Okay. And are there teachers that are pushing back that say this is not worth my time? I mean, at only 30%, we're hoping for 90% pretty soon, so.
Yes, there wasn't pushback. We just wanted to move slow because being a new principal, I didn't want to throw too many things at them at once, and movement with a very veteran staff takes time, careful preparation and planning, and so I wanted to get buy-in before we said, hey, we're going to go full go. But no, we have not really had any pushback from teachers. I guess maybe, or they haven't told me, so maybe Kristen's better to ask that question.
Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, and you can send me an email or something later, you don't have to answer this right now, but it seems like some of the answers when you talk about measurements are subjective, so I'm wondering, are you looking at it from a qualitative or quantitative perspective, and if so, why? Because I see some value in both sides of that, especially as it's dealing with the kids, and then as you look at it on the other side from the perspective of the teacher or the instructor. So I'm really interested in understanding why you're choosing which form of measurement and how that is actually going to work going forward.
Do you want to answer that, Matt?
So I think right now we're focusing on the quantity part, just to get, like Dr. Jen said, the buy-in piece and letting teachers be comfortable, just trying to write the learning intentions, the success criteria, and implementing those strategies. And then as we see those numbers go up, our professional development can focus on making them higher quality as well.
Some of the comments that we did hear was, we wrote objectives 100 times, like we continue to do this. So we wanted to show them the value of this is just simply not rewriting your objectives and get that process down to why and how we're going to do that. And they said that they wish they had this kind of instruction many years ago when they were writing curriculum and objectives. So I think it's been very valuable to them to see that it's not just something new and that it's going to pass, that we are bought in and invested in it.
I want to speak to that question a little bit. One of the things that I think it's important for us to remember as leaders is that there is no we've arrived. That this really is a process over time where teachers get increased clarity about what exactly it is that they're teaching and how they most effectively communicate to students. Here's what I'm expecting you to learn, the steps to learn that, and that we turn over that assessment process, if you will. And I think Kristen did a great job on her example with algebra, where they did the scale of 0 through, was it 4? Okay. Where we turn that over to students so that they're able to say, do I have this or not? So I think that there's that combination of qualitative and quantitative measure. I also think that as we're doing walkthroughs, it really is about, walkthroughs really are about professional learning. It's not about catching someone doing something right or wrong. It's about the person that is walking in the class trying to discern, is there professional development that's needed with the staff as a whole on how we write more effective learning intentions, how we might write more aligned success criteria, how we create a smaller stepped ladder for students perhaps, or is it a matter of they don't even know where to start? And so I think it really is going to be a combination of both, and I think you're going to see that it moves very differently in different buildings. So.
Anyone
Thank you
else?
very much for your time.
Thank you so much. On to item 6 of our agenda, approval of the consent agenda, which includes appointment of the Board of Education clerk as Deborah Howard, appointment of the Board of Education deputy clerk as Shanna Rector, appointment of the Board of Education treasurer as Lisa Peters, annual resolutions to establish regular meetings, to waive the annual requirements for generally accepted accounting principles and fixed asset accounting, to rescind policy statements found in minutes, to adopt 1,116 school hours, and to establish home rule, approval of the 2024-2025 official depositories, a 2024-2025 official newspaper, annual appointments of district staff to legally required positions, minutes of the June 11th, 2024 regular meeting, personnel report, the financial report, which includes the end-of-year bills list for June 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024, the May treasurer's report, the May investment report, journal entries for May and June, approval of the June 30th, 2024 unencumbered cash balances, approval of the following encumbrance listings to Kansas Educational Technology Consortium for the renewal of the WebKids IEP software in the amount of $27,806.38, to Logicalis in the amount of $246,853.15 for the renewal of maintenance contracts for networking equipment, to Southeast Kansas Education for specialized learning services in the amount of $24,000, to Village Travel for projected expenditures for charter bus services during the 2024-2025 school year in the amount of $150,000, to JMH Cleaning Services for cleaning services to augment our custodial operations for the 2024-2025 school year in the amount of $300,000, to Train for projected HVAC repairs during the 2024-2025 school year in the amount of $70,000, to BCS for projected technical support for HVAC controls during the 2024-2025 school year in the amount of $100,000, and to Cisco Food Services in the amount of $145,000, and Highland Dairy Foods in the amount of $30,000 for food purchases for Heartland Early Education for the 2024-2025 school year. Approval of the CKCIE contract with Presence Learning, approval of exceeding the revenue neutral rate, and authorizing administration to prepare the R&R calculations, and if applicable, notify the county clerk by July 20th that USD 305 will exceed the revenue neutral rate for the applicable levying funds. Approval of the 2024-2025 mileage allowance as the federal mileage reimbursement rate of 67 cents per mile. Approved petty cash funds of $1,500 for both Heartland Early Education and the district office. Approved the 2024-2025 facility use fees. Approved gifts from Emmanuel Foursquare Church for unpaid meal charges in the amount of $25,000. Approved the mental health intervention team program grant request in the amount of $470,000 with a district match of $164,500. Approved safety and security grant requests in the amount of $89,440 with a local match of $89,440. Approval of a gift from the Earl Bain Foundation in the amount of $10,000, and approval of the Heartland Child Care Partnership contracts. Any questions or motion to approve items as presented?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Zimmerman, any further discussion? Motion to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. On to our public forum. We had no requests for anyone to speak. And on to the action items. Item 8A, 2024-2025 salary and work conditions for certified staff. And the start of the Aaron Wright show here, it looks like.
Yes, we've got quite a bit this evening. So we negotiated this summer with our certified staff. After I believe it was 2 sessions of negotiations, we settled. So we were excited about that. We had we received more proposals this year from the NEA negotiating team than I can remember having in the last 10 years or so. And we had a lot to talk about, but I think things went well and we came to an agreement. So tonight I'm here to present to you the product of that agreement and sort of its flow through to the rest of the staff groups tonight. So we'll start with the salary and work conditions for certified staff. In your packet, you have the list as well as the actual changes to the agreement itself. But sort of the highlights are we added $1,750 to the base salary of the certified salary schedule and agreed to step and movement. We also created a new related services salary schedule, which it places sort of our licensed, certified professionals, but who are not, they do not have teaching licenses. They are our school psychs, our occupational therapists, those types of employees. We created a new salary schedule for them. We also added a longevity tier for those in their 16th or 17th year of service. Previously, there was no tier of longevity payment for those years, and they were stuck on the salary schedule at 15, so we sort of filled in that gap. We also added $125,000 in compensation to the supplemental salary schedule. We made a few changes, eliminated step 11 on that schedule because there really were only a couple positions on it. So we consolidated step 10 and 11. And you see those positions there were those that were on level 11. We also lengthened the duty day by 15 minutes. So now our contract day will be 8 hours, and even 8 hours a day. And doing that helped us to reduce our calendar by 6 days. So next year, we will start the year and have 182 duty days for our certified staff as the base level for those. We made some grammatical changes related to some of the other provisions. We increased our parental leave by 5 days, so now we offer 15 days of paid parental leave for the birth or adoption of a child. We clarified some language related to bereavement leave, which we added last year. We increased the employer paid health contribution by $20 a month to $560 a month for each employee. Part of the creation of the salary schedule for related services incorporated these special salary provisions that we already had in place in the agreement prior. So now those are just incorporated into the salary amounts included on that schedule instead of being standalone. We changed our vesting schedule. Previously, our vesting schedule was a 15-year schedule. We have consolidated that, I guess. And now that will be a 10-year vesting schedule for retirement. And we increased our liquidated damages amount for those who decide to break their contract with us to $5,000. So with that, are there any questions about those changes?
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we approve the changes to the 2024-2025 salary and work conditions for the certified staff as presented.
Thank you. And a
Is that
second?
right?
Jim seconds. Any further discussion?
I just have one question. Just for facts, increase the health contributions to $560. What was it before that?
$540.
Okay, thanks.
I have one question real quick too. By making it an 8-hour day, does that give teachers more plan time or, nah, darn it?
No, it does not. One of the conversations that we had was needing to look at a couple areas specifically for plan time, and so that is on our radar for this
Okay.
school year that we'll be working toward. But that 15 minutes is not going to increase plan time. It does increase student contact time
okay.
on a daily basis.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to approve as presented on the table. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Yeah, Jim seconded. And on to item 8B, 2024-2025 salary and benefits for classified, professional, technical, and substitutes.
So, in keeping with our other staff groups that are not subject to the negotiated agreement, we have recommended here salary increases and benefit increases that mirror the negotiated agreement, what we negotiated with the teachers this year. So you will see that for the class, we'll begin with the classified employee group. We're recommending a 4% increase to the base salary and allowing for single step and movement. That makes our base for the classified positions $14 an hour. We also are recommending an increase, the same increase for the employer-paid health insurance contributions to $560. The professional technical, similar increases, 4% to their salary schedule, allowing for single-step movement, and increase in the health contribution of $560. Head Start teachers, they have a different salary schedule, but we are asking for a 4% increase plus step and movement to that salary schedule, and the increase to the health insurance to $560. For substitutes, they are not eligible for health benefits, so we are asking for a 4% increase to those substitute salary amounts, the substitute salary schedule for the next year.
Questions or comments on those changes?
So how much will the substitutes get for certified and for classified?
It varies. The sub rates are different depending on what type of substitute they are. It would be a 4% increase over last year. I don't have those figures with me, but I can get those to you. They are all placed similarly to the job that they would be substituting for. So if a classified employee, for example, would be getting an increase to $14.24 an hour for the position that they would be substituting for, essentially.
Oh, so they get paid by hour then?
Yes.
The substitutes do?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And for certified, is it just the one?
We have several different rates for certified
Okay.
substitutes. It depends on the type of license that you have. Emergency sub would make, that's the lowest range for our certified substitutes. Then we have a range for standard substitutes, and we have a range for long-term substitutes.
Okay.
Anyone else, comments, questions? Is there a motion on that item? Start calling on people. Yes.
I move that we approve the 2024, 2025, let's see, wage increases as stated above, and allow for a single-step movement on salary schedules as presented.
Thank you. In a second. Dana seconds.
Mr. Grant, let me excuse myself from this vote, to a potential conflict of interest.
Okay. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. On to item 8C, 2024-2025 salary and benefits for administrators.
So this is, we are making the recommendation tonight for the exact same percentage increase that we have on the other groups. It's a 4% added to the base pay on the salary schedule, allowing for single-step movement, and an increase in the health contributions to $560.
What is the base pay for administrators?
It depends on the position. The administrative salary schedule is by line for employee type. So it has, there is no base that flows through the whole schedule like it does with the classified or with the certified schedule. It is executive directors are on a line, high school principals are on a line. So it really depends on which position we're talking about. But there is a base for each of those positions. And we would be advocating to increase each base for each position on that schedule.
Okay. I'm sure that's on the Google Drive, is it?
It is on our website, it's on the
Okay.
HR page,
Okay.
but I
okay,
can
thanks.
also send that to you.
Okay, later. Thank
I
you.
don't know that the new ones, obviously, for the 25 school
Right,
year aren't
right.
out yet, because we need you to
Yeah,
approve that
I can
first.
do my math on that one.
But I can certainly give you what we had up there for last year.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Motion?
Yeah. I move that we approve the 2024-25 salary changes for administrators as stated above.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8D, 2024-2025 superintendent contract.
This, again, is a very similar recommendation based on the same percentage that was offered to the other salary groups. The one difference here is that the superintendent does not have a salary schedule and therefore does not have step movement in place for her position. So to mirror what has been done for other groups, that includes that step and movement cost, we're recommending a 5.4% increase to the superintendent's salary and an increase in health contributions to $560 a month.
Any questions, comments? Motion there? Ms. Maroon?
I move that we approve the salary change for the superintendent for the 2024-2025 school year as presented.
Jim seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8E on the action agenda, 2024-2025 Professional Technical Handbook Addendum.
What we have here for the professional technical handbook addendum is the change. I mentioned we made changes to the vesting schedule for our retirement plan. Certified teachers are not the only staff groups to receive retirement funded by the district. In the professional technical handbook, we simply want to make changes to that vesting schedule to reflect the changes that we made for the certified retirement plan. And we also wanted to include the same increase in parental leave that we applied to the negotiated agreement as well.
Questions or comments there? Is there a motion? Yes, sir.
I move that the 2024-2025 Professional Technical Handbook amendment addendum be approved as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Gotcha, sir. Any further? Yes, sir.
Excuse myself.
Do a motion and a second to approve the addendum to the 2024-2025 Professional Technical Handbook as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 6-0. And item 8F, a 2024-2025 Support Staff Handbook Addendum.
This is for our classified employees, their handbook. We have an addendum that recommends the increase in parental leave, the same that was negotiated to be applied to our classified staff as well. So increase from 10 days to 15 days.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the addendum to the 2024-25 Support Staff Handbook as presented.
And a second for Bonnie. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. And item 8G, 2024-2025 Handbook for Retired Certified Teachers.
So we have our final handbook tonight is the handbook we utilize with our retirees who are currently employed with us and teaching, but who have previously retired from CAPERS and public service. There are some changes to this document that probably should have been made last year and weren't. But it is also primarily being changed to comply and mirror those changes that were made through the negotiated agreement process. The first one is that last year we removed the heart and stroke insurance option because it's no longer offered from our benefits policies. We removed it from the negotiated agreement last year through negotiations process, but we just did not get it done for our retirees. We changed some language that in a section of the agreement that was still referring to tenured status of teachers. We switched from saying, calling our teachers in that category tenure to non-probationary status several years ago, but this one section we've apparently never changed. So we'd like to do that again tonight. We again implemented the new shortened vesting schedule for this class of employees and increased that liquidated damages amount to $5,000.
Questions, comments?
I have a question. For retired teachers, does the 10-year start when they were teaching until now or till?
Most of our retired teachers, they are 100% vested
Already?
when they start working for us because there is I believe it's a federal rule that says that when you reach 65, which the bulk of these folks are, you are automatically vested in any retirement contribution at that point. So for most of our employees, those funds are already vested. They would follow, if they are not yet vested, they will follow the vesting schedule until they reach that 65-year age.
Thank you.
On the vesting schedule that we have in front of us, it says 10% at 10. Probably supposed to be 100, right?
We'll fix that. Thank you.
No problem.
Yep, that's correct. They don't go backwards.
Okay. Motion to approve that as amended? Yes.
Is that me? Did you call on me?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
sorry. I move that we approve the changes to the 24-25 Retired Certified Teachers Handbook as presented.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A lot of work from your office wrapped up in 15 minutes. On to action agenda item 8H, amendment to the 2024-2025 school year calendar. Superintendent Exline.
Thank you. With the addition of 15 student contact minutes a day, we were able to reduce the school year by 6 days. And so what you see in front of you is the proposal for the amendment for the calendar. One of the things that I've been asked is, why didn't we just bump back the beginning date? Why didn't we bump the end date? We had contracts already out. Staff that are new to our district were planning on their insurance starting. And if we had bumped back the start date, that would have changed the start date of their insurance by a month. And so in fairness to our staff, we wanted to make sure that what we had promised happened. And the other thing is graduation is already scheduled, and we needed to have a balance between the semesters for the high schools because they have some semester classes that are repeated. And so in fairness to students, they need to get the same content whether or not they take that first semester or second semester. So I needed 3 days off of each semester. So the calendar that I have in front of you considered all of those things. And what you can see is the first date that I added as a no teachers on duty, no students in school is November 1st. That is the day following Halloween. And so for elementary, that's a good thing. The second, the next 2 dates are to add the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving recess week. So that gives a week then in November. Then I went to second semester. That gave me my 3 in first semester. Went to second semester, and I pulled January 17th. We are already out on the 20th, feeling like if parents had already made childcare arrangements for the 20th, the 17th made sense, and it gives a 4-day weekend. And then February 28th, my rationale for that was I was just looking for another day that made sense in second semester, and so that was just the day that I chose. I didn't have as good a rationale for that particular date as the others. And then I did April 18th, that is Good Friday. That gives another 4-day weekend. And so my proposal would be that for this year, that the board approve this calendar as presented. And then, of course, as we move forward, the calendar committee will review the different options, and we'll talk about all of the different stipulations that have to be in place, and they will make a recommendation to you in the future. But for this coming year, this would be the recommendation.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Grant, I move that we approve amending the 2024-2025 calendar by adding non-student, non-teacher days as presented.
Second, Deanna. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. And last item on the action agenda, item 8I. We made it all the way to I. Board representative appointments. Superintendent Exline.
I'll turn on my microphone. Each year during this meeting, the board needs to make appointments to the different committees that you serve on representing the board. As you'll recall, you go to those meetings and bring back information to the board about what's happening because you all can't be at all of the meetings that it's important for you to be aware of what is happening in the community and in the district. So the appointments that are being recommended by your leadership are in front of you, and we just need to go ahead and make those appointments so that people can start attending their committees now.
Questions, comments, or motion? Ms. Zimmerman.
I move that we approve the 2024-2025 board representative appointments as presented.
Thank you. And a second?
I second it.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Next, on to school board reports and upcoming dates of importance. First, we have our board retreat tomorrow, July 10th. Monday, August 5th is the district-wide staff meeting at Central at 8 a.m. Friday, August 9th is the first day of school. and the KASB conference in November 15th through 17th this year in Wichita. Zimmerman, we'll start with you for board reports.
There wasn't any Parks and Rec Advisory Board this past month because it fell on Juneteenth and there was no staff at work. I did attend the Salina Adult Education Center graduation, which was heartwarming as always. Thank you.
Attended the Salina Adult Ed graduation, also negotiations. I think it's important to think about negotiations in the time. I feel like we've come a long way there in the last several years in the ability to communicate with our administrative team, the negotiations from our side and from the teachers' organization. And I really appreciate how far we've come there.
I also attended the adult education graduation, which was, I have to agree, it's always enjoyable to be there to see those people endure and achieve something that's really been important for them. So kudos.
I attended the 13th of June Smoky Hill Educational Service Center Board, Executive Board meeting, responding there to some of the continued issues they've been trying to resolve with some staffing issues, satellite locations, and continue on with updating and engaging new contracts with additional teachers and staff. Then as well, I also got to attend the bittersweet Salina Adult Education Center's graduation ceremony, and it was great for all 22 of those people to see them make that next step into their future. So it's awesome.
Very good. We did not have a CKCIE Board of Control meeting in June, so I have nothing to report. On to superintendent's report.
Okay, just a few updates. The first is that we do have our administrative retreat on Thursday. All of our administrators are either back on duty or will be by this coming Thursday. We are having a community panel with the emergency response partners in the community, and that will happen on Thursday, where we will hear from them what we should expect if we would ever find ourselves in the situation where we were needing their assistance with an active assailant. And so it is really nice to have community partners that are willing to engage in that conversation so that we can have as safe a schools as possible.
Isn't the retreat on Wednesday?
This is the administrator retreat.
Administrator.
But yes, the board retreat is tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
You've got it right. Okay, the other two things that we are doing with the administrators, John Crownapple, who is the author of one of the authors of the book Belonging Through a Culture of Dignity, will be working with us on how to accept feedback that sometimes is hard to hear and sometimes butts up against our beliefs about our intentions and just how do we make sure that we remain open to that kind of feedback so that we can grow and get better. And so I'm really looking forward to that, both personally and for the group. And then on the 26th, we will be having some additional visible learning training for our leadership team. So that, just so that you know what's happening with administration in the next few weeks. The next item is, if you have not been to our website, Jennifer and her team and what they have rolled out with that website update, it is so polished and has some beautiful photographs and video footage and all of the different building sites. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to her and to her team for making that happen, because it really does look nice. So get on there and poke around a little bit, and they will be continuing to do some things transition-wise, but it really has a very nice look to it and presents us very well. I also want you to know that Jennifer and I are headed to the National School Public Relations Association's conference. We will be presenting on school safety and our PR campaign for school safety. And that is the campaign that we actually did win the Golden Achievement Award for. And so we're excited to be able to go and present at that convention, and that happens next week. And then finally, walk-in enrollment is gearing up. So on July 23rd, we will have our walk-in enrollment open. The open online enrollment will be occurring prior to that, but we will be available then on the 23rd for anybody that is needing some additional assistance and support. And that walk-in enrollment will happen at Central High. But information will go to our families so that they know that they can actually enroll online if they choose to do so. The last thing I wanted to tell you is I did send an email out to staff shortly before coming to this meeting to let them know what the anticipated certified duty day was going to be, provided that you approved the negotiated agreement this evening, and the students' attendance day, what that would be. And so just for our patrons, attendance day at elementary will be 8:25 to 3:35, and at secondary, 7:45 to 2:55. We didn't want to get those secondary kids going to school any earlier than they already were, and we needed enough time between start and dismissal times for our buses to be able to run routes so that we could safely get our students home. So elementary, 8:25 to 3:35, secondary, 7:45 to 2:55. Tomorrow, we will be doing information blast that will start out with coming from Jennifer's office to the community and to our families to make sure that they know about the new calendar that you approved tonight and about the start and dismissal times.
Thank you. Only item left on our agenda is a work session for policy review. We're going to the Schmidt room for that. Okay. This will end the live stream of our meeting. Welcome to those in the room. Come join us in the Schmidt room for policy review. I'm sure it'll be a riveting time. Thank you for joining us. We are in recess.